So, proper introductions.
All right.
This is Miguel Bulto. He is the man who is writing the Majora opera. We mentioned it in our Majora's Mask Let's Play. So, Miguel, welcome to the show.
Thank you. And I'm bad at this. What do I say now?
That's good enough.
Okay, so it's Travis, Olivia.
Yeah.
No, it's who's Thornbrain?
That is me.
Okay, and Yoshi. Okay.
I'm Yoshi.
So, Miguel, to start, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm from Portugal. I am in Portugal, which means it's like 9:30 right now here. I was born in 1989. I'm 25, and I've been interested in music since I was very, very little. Most of the stuff I did first was self-taught. After having some piano lessons, I started doodling with the piano and doing stuff and composing. Some very crappy stuff because everyone's search stuff is shit.
We know that story. Trust us.
Yes, everyone knows. But I then got into a music academy for some actual studies, and I met some people. I actually got into a musical medium which I had never been around. I've been making my stuff, alone at home, just for fun, finding stuff. Some of the stuff you can find on my website actually are very, very old pieces from 2006 and 2007 and stuff like that. But yeah, that's it. I don't really know what exactly would you like to know about my.
Well, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Well, I guess I can roll up into two questions.
Please.
In the creation of this particular project of this Majora's Mask opera, why did you pick the subject of Majora's Mask, and also why an opera of all things?
Okay. This goes back a while. I was like, I played Majora's Mask when I was 11, and I loved it. I remember I woke up at like 3 a.m. and tiptoed down the stairs to go play it a bit more. I was completely addicted to the thing, and it stayed in my head for a long time. When I was about 15 or 16 or 17, somewhere around there, when I was starting to realize I wanted to make music, I thought of stuff I liked, like kids usually do, and I was like, well, this would be cool to make something out of Majora's Mask. But I didn't have any means for that. I didn't even. It was something that an idea that comes into a kid's mind and just vanishes the next day. Nothing permanent. But then, many years later, in 2011, I think, I introduced my then girlfriend to Wind Waker, and she fell in love with Zelda. She had never seen it. So then we played Twilight Princess, we played old Zelda that she insisted I show her. We got into Majora's Mask. I hadn't played it in years. At that time, I was trying to be noticed online with my original music, but that's extremely hard. It's like hundreds of thousands of composers, putting their stuff on. Yes, no, it's nonsense. So I was like, okay, I like Majora's Mask. I would like to, as an exercise, I would like to see if I can actually get the story and make it into a stage work. It began as just a little idea in my head, and then it became more and more serious. And I remember we were walking down I was walking her down to a bus stop, and we started discussing about Link. Link. The fans don't want Link to sing. Link doesn't even talk. Link is kind of the player. It's not even a character with substance or anything. So maybe, what if Link dies? Okay, no, that's a bit too morbid. What if Link isn't even focused on? Okay, that's better. What if Link is not even there? And that got even deeper into my head. And then I started doodling stuff, and I put an instrumental. I went to some forums online, and some people liked it, some people didn't like it. Those didn't like it, well, I just didn't bother anymore with it. The people who like it, I just kept showing them more stuff. And then some months later, the first demo came out, and I was like 4,000 views in 20 minutes because of Kotaku, whatever the site is. I can't pronounce the name of the website. And suddenly I realized, okay, this can have some potential. So let's maybe I should treat this a bit more seriously. The thing with you asked why a stage work, because I remember in one of the descriptions of Majora's Mask a long time ago, written on some official wiki or whatever, that someone at Nintendo said that the aesthetic of Majora's Mask felt like a Chinese opera. I have no idea what they meant by that, but it probably stayed in my head, and I thought I think it's the only Zelda in which you have enough weight, enough character drama, emotional drama into the story, at least enough of it to warrant a piece like that. Because I don't think any other Zelda would fit work like that. In fact, I had to change this, as you know, Link is absent. I had to change this in a bit so that it wouldn't be too weird. I'm not something that people aren't getting yet. When I see some comments, it's why I'm doing some questions and answers right now online. Some people don't get that I'm not trying to pull opera to Majora's Mask. I'm trying to grab Majora's Mask and pull it towards the opera style. It's so. Some people are like, how can Cafe reach Ikana Canyon if there's no access? I mean, those are little trifles, little details. They don't really matter. It's more about the story and how you set it to music than anything else.
To me, it always felt like Majora's Mask, that Link almost, I guess I want to call it Link, whoever we end up naming him, acted more kind of like a stone in a river, so to speak, because the actions of that world continued. You just kind of diverged the paths.
Yes.
So I could totally see what you mean by that. Is there a particular reason why, say, opera appealed to that particular story more than, say, any other kind of stage or musical format?
Well, first, simply because it's my preference. I prefer opera personally. And honestly, I wouldn't really see this as a Broadway musical style because I think the game is so deep, it's so heavy in atmosphere that something as heavy as an opera can actually fit the mood quite well.
On the subject of the story itself, just to specify, what direction have you chosen to take with the story?
You mean who to focus on?
Yeah, because Link's not in there, and instead you're focusing on Cafe.
Yes, I focus on Cafe because I thought it was one of the most interesting side quests in the game. It spans the 3 days, and it's a love story that always helps an opera go. Even when there's tons of them that don't really go that way, but I think it would be a good one. Like I said before, it's more emotionally soaked, emotionally full. He's a character with a personality, at least the little we are shown, which Link isn't, because Link technically is us. You can even change his name. Link is a shell for the player. So if you're gonna make it an opera, then the player is the audience. If a player is the audience, then they're not in the opera, so they're just watching it. So that was kind of the idea I had when I realized that Link was the connection between the audience, the player, and the game. That in an opera, that would mean Link could not be there if that's all he represents. And then yes, I focus on Cafe search for his wedding mask, and at the same time you have to show a bit of why the moon is falling. So there's a bit of a parallel story with the happy mask salesman trying to figure out a way to get his mask back, since Link isn't there. Mm-hmm. So there.
So then, in a way, does Cafe, while he has his own story, does he also serve a similar purpose to Link as far as seeing Termina and exploring?
Yes, similar, but not at all the same. I've had that question asked to me many times because Cafe is not a hero. He doesn't have the same abilities as Link, so I can't make him, brave the heights of Snow Peak. I can't make him dive into the ocean and find Zora Hall. It's a bit too much. Cafe is just another Terminin. I wanted to focus this on, if you want to call it, human emotions, human suffering, and not like a savior, not like a superhuman, or at least a Deus Ex Machina. Something that comes out of this world, comes from another world, be it a Messiah, be it a savior, a hero, or Hercules, whatever. Something that is not from Termina saving the world. I prefer to focus on the characters themselves. But that question is actually a very good question still, because I could have made it in a way. I could have made it so we would focus only on Cafe, meaning I would have to develop the story only around Clocktown and Ikana Canyon. That actually crossed my mind. I actually have sketches of that, tons of them, in different configurations. But I thought maybe if I'm just allowed to twist the canon a bit more and let Cafe, leave Clocktown and look into the other corners of Termina, maybe I can show a bit more, because otherwise we would never see anything of the mountains or the swamps or the beach or the bay. So I thought maybe showing a bit more of Termina would be a bit more inclusive, a bit more pleasant. Maybe it's not at all operatic actually, because operas usually stay in smaller areas and are restricted to fewer places. But I thought it would be more interesting to just show more of Termina.
How will the Skull Kid, Majora's Mask, and all the giants work into the narrative then?
I've made already a lot of Act 1 public in some questions, so I don't mind explaining that. Skull Kid comes into it simply because the Happy Mask salesman has his eye on him. He knows, that it was him who sold the mask. He knows everything. So the mask salesman actually interacts with the observatory, Shikashi, Professor Shikashi at the observatory, and he lets him, spy into the glass, and that's how we are introduced to Majora's aria and everything. How we are introduced to Skull Kid and the paranoia the demon in his head. The giants, there's only the first giant is released accidentally. There's the giant's aria. It's the 6th demo. In the game, Cafe has been looking for his mask for a month already, and so in the last 3 days of his time, it's safe to assume that he's rather desperate.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't exclude that option, that he would start looking for any clues of any criminal activity whatsoever. No, I have to find, maybe you talk to a criminal, he might know another criminal. I have to start being active about this. So instead of staying in Clocktown, he would start looking for clues everywhere. And the Juggling Brothers in East Clocktown, they actually mention when you're playing the game that there's been a kidnapping in the swamp. So that's his first move, is to go towards the swamp. And long short, he finds the monkey being boiled alive by no, the monkey doesn't die. It was just a way of finishing the demo. I had a lot of people asking, does the monkey die? Does the monkey die? No, I just don't know how to finish a demo. Just let it be. Because it goes on. That was just a little snippet of the whole thing. It doesn't stop. It's a number after number. It's everything flows into the next.
Yeah.
So
It looked really nice.
thank you. So he finds the monkey, and the monkey lies to him. He tells him, I know who stole your mask, and if you let me go, I will tell you who it is. So Cafe gets involved. They're chased by the Deku, who try to get him back, and this is against the canon, but at this point, I really can't. I've been breaking canon so many times, it doesn't really matter anymore. They actually find Odolva in the swamps. There's actually a manga, the Majora's Mask manga, that happens. Odolva appears from the swamps, like from nowhere. There's no temple, there's nothing. He's just there in the swamps. So there's a battle between Deku and Odolva. It's an instrumental already up. That one is already up to on YouTube. And that's when they defeat Odolva, the Deku army, the soldiers. The giant is released. As I actually explained already in the latest Q&A I put up yesterday, the giant, you asked how I put him in the story. The giant serves as a tool to explain to the audience who Skull Kid is. So it's kind of ambiguous if they're actually seeing him, because Link is transported some weird dimension when he frees the giant. So it's not clear. It doesn't matter, because what a giant is saying is for the audience to understand. Because what I'm doing is, I'm not making this opera for Zelda fans only. This is supposed to be self-contained, because since there's no Zelda, there's no Link, there's no Ganon, there's no need to know anything about the Zelda canon. This is a completely self-contained story. So this works fine as a standalone work, which is why I have to put in elements that will make people understand at least enough of what's going on. And the only way to explain why Skull Kid is how he is by someone who knew Skull Kid before all this, and that's the Giants.
I think one of the things that works well about Majora's Mask, even if you know anything about Zelda, it still makes you go, what the fuck was that?
Yes.
So I think it's appropriate.
Yes, exactly. There's going to be many moments like that, don't worry.
Now, you mentioned, since Kafei's not a hero, he can't really go to Snow Peak or Zora Hall. What are some of the other major places and events that will be skipped?
Well, it's something that I really don't like pushing away or skipping is Romani Ranch, because it has a lot of charm and a story in it. Thing is, when you're planning an opera, you're not only planning the story, you're planning how everything is going to flow. And when you're trying to balance sets, usually in an opera, each act is one set. Only one set, because you have to change the whole thing.
Mhm.
There's movable sets and everything, of course. This actually requires them, but I'm already in deep trouble when I'm trying to make an opera flow with 2 sets per act. Yeah, each act will have 2 different sets. So there's 3 acts, one for each day. So Romani Ranch really would fit for 2 reasons. First, because if I'm making Cafe Explore Termina, I'm gonna have trouble putting Romani Ranch into this whole 2-set dynamic. Second reason is Romani Ranch has a lot of story behind it. The Romanian Cremia, I don't know how you pronounce her name. That story deserves a lot of development. The way that Cremia relates to Anjou and Kaf also deserves development, and I'm getting there. And I think if I was going to develop on that, I would need a lot more time than I have. And the opera is already supposed to take over 3 hours. So I'm afraid I'm either going to show too little of everything or make like something that's like 4 hours long. It's too much. 3 hours is already a bit above the average of an opera. So I'm going to leave it at that. So the Romani Ranch has to stay out. And other places that are excluded. Well, Snow Peak, Gorn Village, because anything above whatever Cafe can climb is too much. I mean, you won't even reach the Snow Village. You won't even reach the Smith and anything. The Swamp is fine. The Witches, I can't even get them into the story because, again, flow. There's no reason to involve the witches in this. The way the Cafe stumbles into things has to flow naturally. So the Twin Rova won't appear either. Zora Hall, anything underwater in the Great Bay. The pirates are there, though. And I think that's it, because Stone Tower, the Hideout, and Pamela's house are there. I might be missing something, but yeah, the rest, I think, is all there.
Okay. Honestly, with how our Let's Play went and what happened at Romani Ranch, I don't think we could take that part seriously anyway.
I think I saw that part.
Yeah.
I also saw your frustration with Sakon's Hideout. That was hilarious.
So let's talk a little bit about the music in the opera.
Yes.
Will pretty much all of it be taken from or expanded from Majora's Mask soundtrack?
You mean if everything in the opera is based on the soundtrack of Majora's Mask only?
Yeah, the compositions.
Yes, but I develop on them like considerably. At some point, you don't really understand. You can't even hear what's mine and what's Koji Kondo and Mr. Minagishi's stuff, because the way I work, I'm actually going to post this at some point. I would like to explain that because some people are curious. It's when you're working with a theme. You know, notes are just like bricks. You know, you can just rearrange them. But if you grab a specific set of notes, you know, like a specific motif, and you play with it, it can still remain recognizable, but be involved in a completely different context.
Mm-hmm. I think I noticed that in Cafe's, I don't know how to pronounce that word, but his part.
Yes, recitativo.
Yeah.
It's when they are half singing, half talking. It's not, there's no rhythm or anything. It's just singing while supposedly talking. It's an opera stuff.
Right.
But yes, there's a lot of that. There's the Clocktown theme inverted in there, cut into little pieces, put everywhere and changed. And the demo where Andrew gets a letter with the mother and the postman, that demo is nothing but the house theme developed over and over and over and changed every time the whole thing speeds up. It's a new iteration of the same thing, just cut into smaller pieces and everything. So the way I do this is, like you said, I'm gonna only use music from the Majora's Mask soundtrack. I will not use some themes that don't fit. For example, the Legend of Zelda series theme that plays in Termina Field. That has no point because technically that's Link's theme. If you think about it, that's your adventure theme. Link is not there. There's no point. So some themes will be out of place. I use the game shop. You know, when you're shooting arrows, you know, to get to
Right.
shooting rupees or shooting Octoroks. I think it's Octoroks in Clocktown. That little mini game music. I think it's used at some point when Cafe talks to the fisherman in Great Bay. Some stuff is misplaced, but only because it fits a specific mood. It's not about the place. But most of the time, the themes that are playing are related to the places in which we are, and then only secondarily to the characters.
Okay. There are currently 8 demos up. How much of the opera do you plan to show before that's all the demos? Now I'm just going to worry about completing it.
There's one more. It's related to that thing I told you about Cafe and the princess and the monkey in the swamp and everything. It's a quartet between the king, Cafe, the princess, and the monkey. It's the last demo because the idea is that these demos, they are intended to be a portfolio of sorts and a sample of what I can do. They all have different moods and different groups of characters to serve it as an example of what this can become on stage. The only demos that are already in their final form, if I may say so, are number 2, which is Seconds, which was recently redone, the Clocktown Choir, and Majora's Aria. Because the other ones, from 1 to 6, except for number 2, will be redone either with new singers or new instrumentals, because I now have better samples, better digital instruments. They will be redone to match, at least as close as possible, the final product. The first demo, as cool as many people think it is, I'm happy with the singers because they did the whole thing in one take. It's amazing. It's a very hard piece to sing. But they're not opera singers. They botched some notes. We couldn't correct it at the time because we record everything in one go in the same take, so there was no way to filter out anything or out anything. So it was exactly as it was. There was no treatment whatsoever. So we have to replace that first demo is going to be completely replaced with the same thing except with proper opera singers and a good quality instrumental. The reason that these demos exist is because I can't put this on stage if Nintendo says no. So I have to go talk to them. I have no idea. I have no other choice. The only reason this started is because by getting the attention of fans of a certain fandom, which I'm also part of, I got some more attention, and that allowed me to spread my original music as well. But this was by no means the only point. I want to stage this opera, and if I'm able to, I definitely will. But yeah, I need Nintendo's permission. So this is a portfolio to show Nintendo to explain what I intend to have done.
You said the demos are pretty much just from Act 1?
Except for Pamela's Arietta, yes. Pamela's Arietta is from Act 3, just because I like the theme and I had fun being a Redead or a Gibdo.
Oh, that was you in the video?
Yes. I'm that thing.
As a side note, what software are you using for the music in the demos?
I used to compose only with Finale. It's a notation program, which you can then link to some samples. Sample libraries, there's tons of them. There's different libraries made for Contact, like East-West Quantum Leap library of whatever orchestra. It's a lot of samples, instrumental samples, and the software used to put them all together to make the music sound, to use the libraries properly, is Finale. And then when I got hold of the new samples, I realized I also needed a better software for this. So I'm now using FL Studio alongside Finale because I still need to write that down in notation. And then I use FL Studio. I export the MIDI file, and I use FL Studio to make it actually sound like it's not MIDI crap.
You do it well.
Thank you.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I know on your website you have a little bar off to the side with percentages of each individual acts. But just overall, how close to completion would you say you are right now?
Oh, right. I don't think I have a bar for that. I used to. I'm not sure if it's there. Technically, I'm at 60% of the first draft. We have a long way to go. But if you want to know exactly what's written, I am 15 minutes into Act 3. So it's like 45 minutes left of Act 3. And I still have to make the overture and the prologue with a happy mass salesman talking. This is 60% of the first draft.
Right.
I'm not a native speaker. Some lyrics will be redone. I have people with me helping me with that, and a lot of the opera will be redone. I know when everything's done, when the first draft is done, I'm just gonna print everything, get the people who are working with me on this, get it inside a room, and spread the papers all over, and start realizing, okay, this works, this doesn't work. We have to change this. I have to change this. What do you think, etc., etc. Usual stuff of revising. So of the full work being done, I have no idea where I am. Absolutely no idea. Of the first draft of everything written, of the first, the basis of everything, then 60% is the right number.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the overall size of the opera. You said you want this to be like a full stage production. How big a stage production are we talking here?
All right. Anyway.
Okay, that's good. Next question.
No. We actually made a budget once. It scared us. big. It's big. I think. Let me see if I wait. Give me a moment. Let me see if I can find it. I made 2 folders for this. I regret it so much because I don't know what's in one and what's in the other.
Oh,
And then and it's insane. Wait, the numbers. Here we are. If we wanted to be economical, the orchestra wouldn't have to be bigger than 64 or 65 people. If we wanted to make it proper and with the volume it needs to be, it has to be at least 100. The orchestra. That's just the orchestra.
Jeez.
God.
As for the singers, I have 5 sopranos, 3 mezzos, 1 countertenor. No, 2 countertenor. Oh, wait. This is before the changes. Doesn't matter. Let me see. 5, 8, 9, 20. Okay. If we wanted to make different singers for every character, which can obviously be done, we would have over 20 something singers. 6, 7. Yes, about that. If we wanted to do the economic version, because I'm good at that, at improvising, we don't have room for this. Let's just, make shit up. Since it's are long, and Cafe never revisits some parts of Termina, there's no problem whatsoever with having singers changing their makeup and their outfits between acts to fulfill roles with the same kind of voice in a later act. Because the Deku are only there in the first act. Cafe only goes to Snow Peak it only tries to go up Snow Peak, fails miserably. In Act 2, some stuff is restricted to specific acts. Only Clock Town appears in every act. So if we wanted to get the total numbers, I would say to make this a proper big production, it would have to be at least 120 musicians, including singers and orchestra, and then a ballet group for the dancers, and 4 more solo dancers, and the choir. Sorry, forgot the choir. Yeah, so it's a lot. It's big. It would have to be big.
You basically need Nintendo's involvement if you wanted.
Plus, not including technicians for the actual show. And
Yeah.
No, that's a whole other story.
Costume design and makeup.
But no, here's the thing. You said I need Nintendo's involvement. I do, but all I need actually is Nintendo's approval. If they just go, okay, you can do it, do it yourself. Do something and then we'll go check it. If we like it, then you can do whatever you want with it. I'm fine with that because the biggest problem will be having them say, yes, you can. Yes, we give you permission. Because otherwise, it can take as long as it needs to take. But finding investors, I think, is the least hard part. At least it's not as hard as having Nintendo say yes.
I mean, if we live in an age where people can put $35,000 towards potato salad, I think there's enough Legend of Zelda fans out there that would want to see that to be able to fund it. In today's age, that doesn't seem too difficult.
Yes, that was actually hilarious. I was happy to see that it has an interest because the Swedish baritone, you can tell by the accent, the guy's very cool. Who remade Sakon Zarieta. His boss at the opera company mentioned that it would be interesting to have something with a different audience. So when an official opera house tells you that this would be cool, you probably have some chances. The big barrier here is Nintendo, really, and I'm more afraid of the fact that they won't let me do it because this requires money, because they let a lot of stuff slide when it's for free, but this cannot be put up without money. It's impossible. It's too big, and I won't let this be staged at 50%, at 70% of what it needs to be. So I'd rather not stage it at all. But if Nintendo says no, it'll just be a big fat score on my disc, and it'll be just a portfolio of what I can do, and I'll just go on something else.
And at least for the demo videos, you're using Shadow Theater. You mentioned in one of the Q&As that's not your plan for the full thing, but would it be included in any way in the final staging?
Shadow play is something I like a lot. It actually matches the style of Majora's Mask very well. And it can be used in specific moments for effects for out of stage singers. You can have them lit by a light so they're not on stage, but you can see their shadows. The way you build the sets can actually make that work pretty well. Yes, I would like to use some shadow play, but when people asked me if I was going to retain the shadow play for the final work, they were asking me, is it all going to be shadows? I'm like, no. We're talking, opera stage, actors, singers, costumes and everything. But yes, I do like shadow play. I would like to play with that a lot.
You might have to take some liberties if you're going to be dressing up the postman. Just thinking from a.
I was thinking more about Tingle.
Well, yeah, that might be a problem.
Oh my god.
No, Tingle is the only one I will not abide by having that leotard. I'm terribly sorry. I will.
Can he at least throw glitter like he does in that?
He has no solo appearance. He's part of the choir because since he's in Clocktown, it makes sense that he's part of Clocktown choir.
Oh yay.
Since there's an obvious parallel between Tingle and Perlo from Princess, you know, the guy with the game show, the guy with the green hat and the watch.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would prefer that he had that garment, you know, in middle of the choir than Majora's Mask's full body leotard, creepy ferryman, whatever that shit is.
Red undies.
Yes, no, not really, not at a party. No, what I wanted to say is that the reason we use shadows is because right now we have zero budget. You know, the postman's had its paper. The post box where Cafe puts the letters, it's a little table with a cardboard box on it and a lamp. You know, all mixed up, looks like it's nothing. It's you wouldn't believe the stuff. Andrew's hair, it's a mix of styrofoam with cardboard. I don't know. Everything is you think it's solid or there. It's just paper. We found it interesting. This wouldn't even have video if I hadn't thought at the first demo that it would be cool to be eavesdropping on the argument at the mayor's council room while it is lit from inside. So you can actually see the light from inside through the curtains when you're outside. That was my first idea, like, it makes sense to make some curtains and then I'll just make some shit up for the next demos. But I realized that Shadow Theater works well. And there's really no reason to do anything else when nothing that you're representing in the demos is actually what's going to happen, physically in terms of actions on stage. There's a lot of static stuff on the demos because we have no room. It's filmed right here in the living room. It's my bed sheet.
Well, I admit that at least the videos when you involve things like the giants, it's a very effective storytelling method, and especially considering obviously there's not a budget here, but even if you looked at something as mythologically unattached to the real world, such as 4 massive giants, it definitely had a very impactful feel to the videos. So, just an opinion.
No. Actually, you're onto something because the giants are an exception to this. Because when there's going to be at least 2 parts where I will have to actually project something onto the stage, because I am not using puppets. I don't like that. I never liked that idea. So if I'm going to represent a giant, there's nothing better than the actual shadow, of the giant coming up to stage, in real sight, as you see in the demo, you can only see part of the ankle at the end, and then the ankles become the frame for the story to be told in between. That part actually will have to be projected, not exactly as it is in that demo, but a refined version of that. And the other part is when this is spoilers. No, never mind.
I guess we'll be fair with the question that we're getting too in depth into it.
Next question, please. No spoilers for you.
Oh.
Sorry, Tingle fans. No Tingle song.
Oh, no.
I made maps.
Bullet explodes.
I make maps for you. Yes, you come to my shed later. We
Just imagine he just interrupts an important scene. He just skips in, throws glitter in someone's face. I made a map and leaves.
During the most important reveal.
You want to come discuss prices over with some popsicles?
We love you, Tingle. Don't take offense.
Oh no.
He's listening right now. He's very offended.
Yeah. I do it for the children.
He's just not relevant to the plot. Come on.
We can't have like a Spider-Man turn off the dark thing where he's on a balloon and then it pops and he falls and we have to cancel the show because of that.
Oh god, yes. That would actually please a lot of people.
That's the climate.
And maybe he could have the show kind of starting like, "Welcome to the opera."
A standing ovation just for that.
He's out front handing out the programs, which look like maps, and throws glitter at everyone's face.
He's the one the moon falls on.
Yep.
No, Cafe on Andrew, I love you. The mask salesman on the other. I have to find a mask, and suddenly, Smash! And there, that's the end of it. That's the abridged version of Majora.
The curtains immediately close.
Yes.
The guy in the PA. Oh, that was it. Oh, leave.
The lights all shut off. All of
All right, show's over. Get out.
Work of art of the century. Minimalism embodied.
You joke, someone would write that as a review.
Of course.
But on the subject of Nintendo,
Yes, sir.
they are kind of weird with their IPs. Paranoid, I think, is the word.
Very.
Like sometimes they'll just kind of let something go. I've heard of other things like animations, fan videos, or what have you that have been taken down by them.
Mhm.
Should Nintendo not approve of the opera, and if not outright, shut the whole thing down? Like, what would be your backup plan for it?
Well, as I said, there is no backup plan. A backup plan is a big fat score in my drawers in my desk. I mean, you mean if I would release something online?
Yeah, like if you couldn't do it in public, maybe because I know some of the demos use animation. I would think a website like Newgrounds would eat that up.
Yes, if there's a big no from Nintendo, and here's the problem, because I'm working on this, and I also have to work on, I have to advance what I do. I'm a composer, so I have to start working on other projects if this isn't going anywhere, and I have to eat, my friends. Composers, they do. It sounds amazing, but they do. And so because of that, I'm not sure how I would be able to. I would love to actually to make to record. I'm not sure about visuals, but in terms of audio, to record the whole opera with, well, of course, with digital instruments and with actual singers would be a cool thing to do, and I wouldn't mind releasing it. Thing is, I have to explain this better because, for example, for Cafe, some of the footage you're looking at in Cafe's in Clocktown Choir, that footage is like 2 years old. We recorded some stuff, and then we got some people together. At some point, I'll reveal the first ever recording we did of the Clocktown Choir. It's hilarious because it was a disaster. It was a complete and utter monstrosity. No one is in tune because it was like.
Is that the moment you decide to kick Tingle out of production? Just...
At some point I'll have to put up some bloopers, audio and visual. But point is, we realized that for this to actually be done with the quality the demos have, which the demos are not at full quality at all, but to even reach that kind of quality, we needed a huge effort. So if we're going to apply that effort to a 3.5 or something long opera, we would need a lot of free time and a lot of dedication. For example, we had to wait 6 months for the tenor who sings Cafe to come back from the north of the country to come help us, because he was, doing some singing some stuff up there. So the thing is, the problem is the wait. It's not like I took 2 years. I mean, I started at the end of 2011. It's not like it's taken me 2 years to write, 3 years almost, not 2 years, 2 years and a half, to write 2 acts, for example. It's 2 acts and 15 minutes of the third. I mean, these things come in bursts when I manage to find the time and I'm level-headed enough for this. I made the first. Oh, I'm getting an accent here. I made the voiced act of a. I made the
Portugal, my ass. You're from Boston, aren't you?
Yeah.
I made the voiced one.
Oh God, you caught me.
We cut out Romani Ranch because the set broke.
God rest his soul. I wrote the first 40 minutes of the opera in 2 weeks, and then nothing for 3 months. And then every weekend I got 10 more minutes done, and then because the way this works in bouts is because I'm not being paid to do this, so I have to find whenever my time is free and when I'm not exhausted to be able to focus on this properly. That's why it takes so long. So if Nintendo says no, that means no money. If it means no money, it means I would love to release this, but it would be at snail's pace as audio only. I'm not really. If I found an amazingly talented animator, for example, who would be on board with it, then yes. Because what we did, the animations for the Giants and the Deku demo are Adobe After Effects, puppetry and stuff like that. It's cool for the demos, but what I want for something, if it's going to be full feature and the whole thing animated, it would have to be properly drawn instead of just puppetry.
Right.
I would definitely love to see this on stage because what's done so far is really amazing to me, and I'd love to see more. I think it deserves it.
Thanks. I'm bad at getting praise, so if I run away, you'll know why.
I'm the same way. Don't worry.
We like you.
Stop!
what?
Oh, come on,
Sorry, man. So a question that really wasn't really asked, but I was more curious about, since it is starting on this kind of low budget area. Can you tell us a little bit about how the crew that's been working with you and supporting you at least on this initial run?
Yes, this actually ties in with the very first question, which was about me and education or whatever. I got to a music academy in Lisbon. It's equivalent to the before college education on music. Because I knew how to make music, I just didn't know what the things I were using were called. I had no idea what a reversion, what an interval of a fifth or a augmented fourth was. I had no idea what any of the things were. I had to. Are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
It was silent.
We're just really invested.
No, there were just no complete silence. Usually I hear some background noise, so I was like, did I crash?
He started saying words that I didn't understand, so I left.
Yes, exactly. The musical lingo. No, but so I didn't know anything at that, so I went to music academy and everything, and there I met a guy, very cool guy. Also, first name Miguel, last name the Son of God. Jesus, Miguel. Miguel Jesus. He's a guy, he's a guitarist and a composer as well, and it was like 2 days after I had me and my girlfriend had been talking about Majora, about it being an opera. I was there. I was at the academy. I had to wait like 2 hours for the next class. So he comes down the stairs and I say, "Come here." I showed him the game. I brought my netbook and an N64 emulator because I was bored as hell. So I was playing Majora's Mask and I said, "This is a game I played." He is not a gamer at all. The guy is nothing, zero. He doesn't even know. Doesn't know anything about games or anything. Wasn't that his sort of stuff, but. I explained him the story, and he said it was a cool story and everything. And then I said, "What if I told you that I would be able to put this on stage as a story?" And he said, "I like it. I like the idea. I'll help you." Like, out of the blue. And I'm like, "You have no idea what you're getting into." And he said, "No, I'll help you. I'll help you. I'll transcribe. I'll correct. I'll clean the scores, because when you were composing, you're a bit sloppy. You're not very worried about the presentation or anything. So to make the software play it right, sometimes you put some values in it that are not right, and that an actual score with notes on it wouldn't have." And then I said, "Dude, it's over 3 hours long. It's big pile of paper." And he said, No, it's okay. And then I realized I would like to record demos. So I said, "I have no recording equipment, as this wonderful mic shows. Do you know anyone who has a mic?" And the guy had a fantastic unidirectional mic and an external soundboard. So it's thanks to him that you all have the demos. Thanks to Jesus.
So you say you're
Jesus
probably more the creative one, and he was the technical one who kind of brought that segment of it.
Yes, definitely, because I suck at audio recording and everything. Actually, I know a lot more about it now because of him, because we've been working on this for over 2 years. So now I know a lot more of it. I'm learning a lot more about mixing, because the final mixing of the voices and the orchestra that the demos have, it's his. I still suck at that. I know how to mix a single orchestra, but if you're going to put another recording of voice into it, I don't really know how to put it together yet. But I'm getting there, one thing at a time. So that's he's my right arm, if you will, in the project. That's him.
Jesus himself wants this opera to be made.
That's on the letter for Nintendo. Just saying.
Hey, that's cool and all, but Jesus is backing me up on this.
Jesus has his name on this, so.
He even has my backup, so Jesus saves. Now, then I needed to make an animation for the Giants aria, and I put a post up in my blog, in the blog of the opera, saying animators needed, and I got some entries, and one entry was awesome because I thought I was going to make it in Flash, because I thought, people do a lot of stuff in Flash. But then one guy sent me something in Adobe After Effects, and it was different. It felt different, and it felt a bit better than what I was expecting. It wasn't drawn, it's all puppetry. It feels like what a good preview would be like. That look of shadowy puppetry, a bit eerie sort of stuff. And he showed me what it could do. I liked it. He's from America. He lives in Virginia. he became the animator. He became the part of the team that would be responsible for effects, like the Majora's Aria effects, those crazy stuff that happens.
That was so well done. It actually kind of creeped me out.
That's his doing, and I gave him a list of everything I thought would look good, and then he complemented it with his own ideas, and everything went well. He animated Deku Palace, he animated Giants. Deku Palace was funny because I said he was busy, and I was like, dude, it's nothing, just some cardboard little Deku moving, nothing special, some stuff for people to look at, just some cardboard stuff in the middle. And then after like a week, he was like, oh wait, we can make the Deku Butler tap his foot. Wait, we can make the mustache vibrate. Wait, we can put like there.
It's important that we make this mustache vibrate.
Look, the leaf moves 4 frames per second.
And then suddenly the whole thing was like the best animation he had ever done. And I was like, dude, calm down, okay? So, but it was also
You care too much. Back off.
no, not at all. Actually, it's precisely because of that enthusiasm that I like working with him a lot. It's Aaron Klein from Virginia, and then the last member of the crew. This man lives in Australia. Liam Greeno. He used to work in a Final Fantasy reorchestration project for 6 years, which didn't really go anywhere. It did. Sorry.
Square Enix shut it down?
I have no idea. I think, as most projects do, they just lost their energy.
I was going to say, Square Enix is infamous for shutting down a lot of fan projects.
Oh, maybe that. I don't think I ever asked him specifically, but he told me that he was tired also of pushing everyone around, of being the one, with the enthusiasm and pushing everyone around. I know the feeling very well.
Yeah.
Especially in this country, I wouldn't believe you. This country suffers from lack of enthusiasm. It's very tiresome.
Wow, an entire country.
Oh, kidding. I'm kidding. It's cultural. They don't. It's. There's a lack of letting go. Letting yourself be taken. People are always very close, and they are afraid of opening up, of showing what they can do, and it's cultural. It's maybe because we had like 40 years of a dictatorship. That doesn't help.
Yeah, that doesn't help too much.
Anyway, Liam Greeno is the guy who mixed Adolva and the Deku, the Redux version, which is the first one with the good samples, the good instruments. So that's it. So the audio core team, the team that's going to stay as the audio core team is me, Miguel Jesus, and Liam Greeno. Liam is also is going to be my percussion consultant because I'm not very good at. I don't really know what can be done or not with percussion. In fact, have you listened to Cafe's Dream?
Yes.
Do you know that metallic sound? That pa-bum boom, pa-bum boom. That sound, I was like, I have to find a way to make this, because all I did was slow down the sound of a cowbell. That doesn't really. Well, in real life, you don't slow down sounds like that. And Liam turned to me and said, "We'll use a park bench." And I'm like, "Sorry." Park? Yes. He said a park bench, big enough, made of metal. You hit hammers in the right places, and it makes that exact sound. So somewhere in Majora's score, there's going to be the list of instruments, and in the middle of the list is going to be timpani, cymbals, park bench.
So and so on the park bench.
Park bench.
It's a special talent. Some people just can hear the music and anything.
The fact that you're a percussionist, you have a lot of experience, knowing what sound stuff does, and that was actually a very good idea of his.
Great.
And he's going to be the percussion consultant of the opera, and he's also going to be helping with the revising of the libretto, the lyrics. Aaron Klein is the visuals for the demos, so I don't know anything about the future of that. So, but at this point, yes, the team is me, Miguel Jesus, Aaron Klein, and Liam Greeno.
Who's been doing all your acting and the shadow performances and everything like that?
Oh, right, sorry. But yeah, that's the core team, because the people who are acting usually are just friends and people who want to just help for because they find it fun. It's a lot of time it's me. Sometimes it's the singers themselves. It helps because sometimes you have no idea what the singers are saying. When you're not a singer and you're trying to follow a singer's gestures in the middle of a trio, 3 people talking at the same time, you don't really you kind of get lost unless you study the piece really, really well. There's some colleagues from the academy, some friends of mine since ever. Myself, that's it. I think one of them is a teacher or something. But yeah, people who would want to. It's good because people now are wanting to help out of good faith, which is very good. If I ever got enough support for Majora in monetary terms, I would actually like to pay them back somehow. Because if this becomes something official, actually making something, I would like to thank those people properly.
I know that feeling.
Yes, because I think a project has to be a risk. You're getting together, you're doing something, and you're like, okay, this can only work if we get together. So if we all get together and risk something, maybe we can all profit from it and get both recognition and maybe something to eat. With everything, because if people go like, oh, I'm not going to do this for free, you have to see who's asking, because if it's someone asking for you to be their partner in a project, that's not a commission. That's not someone going like, oh, we're making a game and we would like you to make this music and this music, and that's it. That's nothing else. But then maybe in that sense, you should ask for a commission, because it's a service. But when someone is asking you to be part of a project, full time, and help build it, and it's a risk that I think big projects should take, because you don't make something big unless you spend a lot of time on it. And a commission is just a commission. A project is a project. So in terms of projects, I think it's good for people to take risks together. And if it works, and everyone benefits. If it doesn't work, then nobody benefits. Not even the person who was, suggesting the project in first place. People are afraid to be scammed, and I understand perfectly.
Nothing risk, nothing gain, though. Especially for creatives, you kind of feed off the energy of people that are particularly driven towards an idea that they have.
Yeah, exactly. I was amazed. The singer who does Majora's aria, he's awesome. Allegra. She has an Italian name, but she's actually apparently she's American. She's absolutely nuts, and I mean nuts as in. It's awesome, because I needed that sort of personality for Majora, and she actually came to us. She actually came to me, saying, I would like to participate in this. One year after we had put up the announcement saying we needed sopranos, it took us a year to find a singer, because one thing is finding singers with the money, the other thing is finding singers when you don't have any. It's very different. So that contributes a lot for the slowness of the project and everything.
And I imagine things like that can also deflate motivation a lot when you're trying to create a project, and it takes a year for you to even get a soprano. A lot of times it's hard to get that energy and momentum up and going, yeah, no, it's been a year, but let's keep on going with an idea that I have.
Yeah, no, it's actually worse for writing than anything else, because for performing, you get a new injection of hype in you, because you suddenly see someone turning what's on paper into reality. It gives you a bit of fuel. The problem is writing. When you have long pauses and then you have to keep writing, it's hard to get back into the mood. But it worked last summer. I made, when we had like 40 more minutes, I finished Act 2 in one go. The thing about momentum is keeping people's faith in you, because there wasn't one demo out in 2013. The Giants aria came out in August 2012. Clockdown came out January 2014. Those are just demo number 6 and demo number 7. There's the only thing in between is an instrumental or something. So because we really had no way of getting hold of anyone to help, and people were busy, and it's always a mess. Like, I don't have a full-time job yet. I'm working part-time stuff, making some commissions for people, and most of what I'm doing right now, I spend a lot of time at home. I have to. Because if I once got in. I got an office job once. I'm not kidding. For 4 months. I'm probably a flower at this. Whatever. I thought I was gonna die. And the thing is, with those kind of stuff, it drains you. If I had no option, it would have to be what I had to do. But the thing is, I have to thank the people who support me, either family or people who donate or people who ask me for commissions. Who have enough funds coming up, and the fact that I have a roof over my head and everything to be able to keep this going, because otherwise it won't work. It's sad to say, but it's sometimes it is a matter of luck as well. Some people have some more free time to do some stuff, some people don't, and some people are better at adjusting at having a lot of stuff at the same time, some are not. And if I would have to fend for myself right now, for example, I would sink very quickly.
I definitely know how draining the whole job thing can be, because I got like 2 part-time jobs. I like at the beginning of the morning before I start my, I'll be like, yeah, after I get back from work, I'm totally going to do this and this and this. And then once it's all over, you just feel completely dead and you don't want to create anything at all.
Like, I'm never going to survive the real world. I better just kill myself.
I know. It's just like, how am I gonna hold down a career if I can't deal with retail?
And my advice in that sort of situation is, if you have the ability, if you have your parents, your family, or someone supporting you, take advantage of that. It's not. Some people are ashamed of it. I know, oh, I'm still at home with my parents. No, just if you want to create something and you have that kind of freedom, take advantage of that, because that's a luxury. You know, that's something that a lot of people don't have. You have to take advantage of that and make something and work on stuff, because a lot of people don't have that luck. It's nothing to be ashamed of. I think a lot of people are ashamed of that, and especially in these countries, in Latin countries, you know, where at 21 you're out of your house, you're married, you have a car and your own flat. It's like, oh no, not that doesn't happen for everyone. It's not obvious. People say it like it's easy. It's not.
Yeah.
Especially for creatives. Because creative processes are never like, oh yeah, we'll get this done in 3 days. It always takes forever.
Yeah.
And sometimes stuff just comes up like, look what I just made. Wow, this is awesome. When did you make this? Yesterday. What?
Yeah, a lot of my creativity tends to like vary. Sometimes I'll just get a script done in a day, and sometimes it just takes me 4 months for no reason.
Actually, that's how it works. It's one day it's like, look, this, like 3 kilos of paper, like boom on the table. I'm like, what the hell is this? Have you been working here so long? No, it's I was over at the friends at the weekend. We have an idea and we started doodling shit. Doodling shit? This is a novel.
Sometimes you just get hit with that frenzy where you just, yes, and this, and this, and this, and the next day, I'm gonna finish it, and you get like one line in.
Yeah.
It's usually the ideas that you think at the most random times. I could be in the shower and be like, aha! And then I'm actually on a computer. I'm like, I can't think of anything.
Exactly.
That's exactly that. And I especially I have a hard time focusing. Most of the stuff I make musically comes from outside, meaning I'm doodling at the piano and it comes from there. Because if I rely on my ability to concentrate and to summon something from my own mind, I'm doomed. If I get deaf, you know, like Beethoven, I'll just kill myself. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. My piano teacher at the academy said he never had a student who had such a hard time focusing. I had the hands on the keyboard. I was playing some, I don't know, Mozart, whatever. There was a G, you know, the note G on the paper. I was looking at the notes. My fingers were over the key G. Note said G. The teacher was next to me and he said, "It's a G." And I was completely frozen. And it's a practice. And I was like, I know it's a G. In my head, the head is going like, it's a G. Press the G. Go. Press the G. Press the G. What are you waiting for? Press the fucking G. Go. Press. It's a key. It's a piano key. Right there. Right there. Your fingers right. Hovering right over it. Press it. No, nothing happens. You just freeze. I have no idea what it is. But sometimes everything just blocks and it's focus zero.
You're probably just sitting there, however, on the keyboard, like I should be playing this, and then just randomly the thought pops up. It'd really suck if piranhas could fly. And then you're just stuck. And you're like, damn it, I've lost it. That's usually what it is for me, at least.
I know you don't even have the pleasure of understanding what blocked you. You just don't know. It's like you're not there anymore. The zone is gone. Everything is gone. And who am I? What am I doing here? And that's where I play the piano, but I don't want to be an interpreter. I have no interest in playing other people's pieces because the feeling of reward I get after I've learned the piece is not worth the frustrations I had before. You know, I use the piano as a composing tool because that's what actually excites me. Playing stuff, of course, I like playing the piano, but looking at my colleagues who are pianists and violinists and guitarists and the amount of work that they dedicate to instruments, I can't. I just can't. I'm an ideas person, and I put them into practice with machines, with the computer, with my music, and I doodle stuff and I write them down and I build something from whatever information and ideas I have. I'm not an interpreter at all.
We can ask one last question. I think that would be a good segue. Is there any way that you think the listening audience or the people on YouTube or anything like that can help with your project? I mean, not in the sense of helping you write, but maybe, help you in any way they can?
They can, but this is not the phase for that because I would have no problems opening a crowdfunding platform for this or anything like that. The thing is, I can't touch money, anything related to money with this until I go talk to Nintendo. Because if I start raising any sort of funds for this specifically, I'm just asking to be shut down. So at this point, if the YouTube audience has some singers, then yes, please send me your samples. We've had some people send us. Some of the singers you heard in the opera are actually from people who came from the internet, to help. Otherwise, just spread the news, spread it, show it to more people and keep it alive as long as it's in this phase. Because after, if Nintendo says yes, then by all means, I'll have to think about how to organize an actual funding campaign, everything, and finishing the actual, revisions and the draft and all that stuff. But yes, that I think the only thing we can ask for right now is to spread the message, and show, look, this guy's making opera, these guys are making opera.
So what's the do you have a website and what's the name of it?
Yes, I do. It's MBulteau.com. It's my website, but Bulteau is hard to spell, so it's MBulteau.com.
We'll probably end up posting this in a video format, so we could probably have it appear at least in some form of text next to it. But if you're looking to support, at this point, not monetarily, but if you're looking to support either the project itself or want to be involved in talent, check that website. I'm sure there'll be links to contacts and all sorts of things like that, right?
And there's a whole tab dedicated to Majora, to the opera, and links to the blog and everything. Everything is there. That's my core site. And that's it. Yes, I have a hard name to spell. And the pronunciation, I say Bulteau because it's the easiest way that the English-speaking people can say it, because otherwise it's the original pronunciation is Bulteau, but the sound U is not a sound that the English language has, or the Portuguese, or many of the others. So it's like, is that Bluetooth? Bluetooth? No, just.
Blackbeard?
I didn't realize you talked to so many people in Mississippi.
Michael Bluetooth.
Bluetooth, yes, Bluetooth.
Your American name is Michael Bluetooth.
Michael Bluetooth. No, so Bulteau is fine. Yes, like a bull, the animal, and a toe on your foot. That's it. Bulteau. I'll be happy with that.
All right, Miguel, thanks a lot.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for my